The closing laps of the Thai Grand Prix delivered more than just a test of speed. They exposed a brutal battle between man, machine, and tyre survival. Under the relentless heat of Buriram, one rider found himself fighting a losing war with his motorcycle, his rear tyre, and ultimately the stopwatch. For Australian rider Jack Miller, the final stages of the race turned into a frustrating and controversial struggle. What began as a competitive outing slowly deteriorated into a desperate attempt simply to bring the bike home, with Miller forced into an extremely cautious riding style that left him visibly angry and powerless. The drama unfolded during the closing phase of the MotoGP Thailand Grand Prix at the scorching Chang International Circuit. Behind the scenes, the paddock was buzzing with questions after Miller revealed a startling detail. In the final laps, he could use no more than a quarter of the throttle. Miller explained that extreme wheel spin and severe rear tyre wear forced him to drastically limit his throttle input during the final phase of the race. According to the Australian, the problem became progressively worse as the laps ticked by. The new V4 machine struggled to maintain rear grip in the extreme heat of Buriram, leaving Miller constantly battling to keep control of the bike. The issue was not exclusive to his machine. The race itself became a tyre management survival test, with several riders experiencing similar difficulties. Even Joan Mir was forced to retire his Honda team machine after visible wear appeared in the centre of his rear tyre. Meanwhile, several riders on Ducati and Aprilia machinery also struggled to control wheel spin as track temperatures pushed the limits of tyre durability. As the tyre degradation worsened, Miller's pace dropped dramatically. Over the course of the race, the Australian rider lost more than 6 seconds compared with his best lap time, highlighting just how severely the rear tyre performance had deteriorated. By the final lap, the situation had become so extreme that Miller's lap time was slower than his opening lap from a standing start. At the checkered flag, the result reflected the scale of the struggle. Miller finished 48 seconds behind race winner Marco Bezzecchi, 18 seconds behind the leading Yamaha rider Fabio Quartararo, and only ahead of Ducati substitute rider Michele Pirro. Adding further frustration, his rookie teammate Toprak Razgatlioglu managed to pass him with 6 laps remaining, despite suffering from the same tyre issues during the closing stages. In contrast, the Monster Energy Yamaha MotoGP team pairing of Quartararo and Alex Rins managed to maintain a more consistent rhythm throughout the race. Both riders finished close together, securing 14th and 15th positions, demonstrating better stability despite the difficult track conditions. For Miller, however, the story of the race was tyre survival rather than outright performance. Speaking after the race, Miller admitted the problem became clear very early in the Grand Prix. He explained that although the motorcycle itself did not feel particularly bad and he remained physically comfortable, the rear tyre problem dictated his entire riding approach. Miller said he attempted to manage the issue through a number of techniques: short shifting, riding as smoothly as possible, and waiting to lift the bike before accelerating out of corners. But as the laps continued, the problem intensified. Eventually, the centre of the tyre became so worn that the Australian rider could barely accelerate down the straights. He revealed that on the straight sections he could not use more than a quarter of the throttle, describing it as an extremely difficult situation to manage during a MotoGP race. Despite the disappointing results, Miller highlighted one positive aspect. The Thai Grand Prix marked the first full race distance completed with the team's new V4 motorcycle, providing valuable data for development. Although the final positions were not what the team had hoped for, Miller emphasized that all 4 bikes managed to finish the race, allowing engineers to collect significant information. According to him, the current performance level should be seen as a starting point rather than a final benchmark, with plenty of room for improvement as the season progresses. Gino Borsoi, team director of Pramac Racing, admitted that the team had anticipated a difficult Sunday in Thailand. Borsway explained that the extreme heat was the primary factor influencing tyre performance throughout the race. While the conditions affected every team on the grid, he acknowledged that the impact appeared to be more severe for their package. Nevertheless, the team remains confident that improvements can be made as the season continues. The focus now shifts quickly to the second round of the season, which will take place next weekend in Goiânia, Brazil. After the harsh tyre battle in Buriram, the upcoming race will provide an immediate opportunity to evaluate whether the lessons learned in Thailand can translate into improved performance. For Miller and his team, the message is clear. The Thai Grand Prix exposed serious limitations, but it also delivered crucial data that could shape the next stage of development. And after a race where he could barely use a quarter of the throttle, Miller will undoubtedly be hoping that the next time he twists the grip, the bike finally gives him the full power he expects. As the race entered its decisive phase, the reality of the tyre situation became impossible to ignore. While other riders were still able to push in short bursts, the limitations on Miller's bike forced him into pure damage limitation mode. Every corner exit had to be handled with extreme care, knowing that any aggressive throttle input would immediately trigger severe wheel spin. The conditions at the Chang International Circuit only made the situation worse. The intense Thai heat pushed track temperatures to punishing levels, accelerating tyre degradation for many riders across the grid. In such circumstances, maintaining traction becomes one of the most difficult technical challenges in modern MotoGP. For Miller, the degradation pattern was particularly damaging because the wear appeared mainly in the centre section of the rear tyre. This type of wear dramatically affects acceleration performance, especially on the long straights where riders depend on maximum throttle to gain time. Instead, Miller found himself cautiously feeding in power while competitors pulled away. The loss of speed was clearly reflected in the lap times. As the race progressed, Miller's pace steadily declined, turning what began as a manageable race into a difficult survival run. By the closing laps, the gap to the front had grown significantly, highlighting just how costly the traction issues had become. Meanwhile, the performance of race winner Marco Bezzecchi underlined the contrast. While Miller was fighting to control wheel spin, the riders at the front were still able to maintain competitive race pace and push hard in the final laps. Another notable moment came when Miller was overtaken by rookie teammate Toprak Razgatlioglu with 6 laps remaining. Although Razgatlioglu was also experiencing tyre degradation, he managed to find just enough performance to move ahead, emphasizing how delicate the balance between grip and throttle control had become.